Well, welcome back to Man in the Mirror's New Adam podcast. My voice is kind of gone. It's in that I don't know if this is a product of I overused it. I mean, I was speaking a lot this morning, but I don't know if it's a I used it too much or I'm just getting old.
I don't know. I just thought you were trying to use your sexy, raspy voice
No,
to.
no, this is yeah. No, it's this weird thing where I'm not sick. I didn't like scream at a football game or anything or a screen playing a football game.
Yeah,
Nothing happened.
or a punk concert.
Nope,
None of
nothing.
that.
Yep. I then it would be understandable. It's just yeah, my voice doesn't want to be there. What age were you when you realized you're not a kid anymore?
When I realized I wasn't a kid anymore.
Yeah, like into that like I'm getting old, like what was it?
Yeah, I think my daughter was maybe 9 or 10, and I was coaching her soccer team, and there's a bunch of 9 or 10-year-old girls, and I couldn't keep up with them on the field, and I'm like, oh no, what just happened here? Like, I should be able to keep up with a bunch of 10-year-old girls, and like I'm just gassed, and I don't know, when you think of yourself as an athlete growing up because you did sports and stuff, and then like I'd had some times even in like uh my 30s when I'd been with guys my own age and I was in reasonably better shape than they were and had skills that they didn't have because I did sports. But then the 10-year-old girls were like, nope, you are an old man. So,
That did cartwheels around your tired body.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
How old were you when that was happening? You said?
It's probably my late 30s.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, late 30s. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
50 was tough.
Yeah. I'm 3 years from 2.5 years from 50. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe that's
50
why
was
it's
a
on my.
little
Maybe
50
that's why
was a
I'm
little
feeling it.
brutal.
Yeah.
Not because I felt any different, but just I think the number kind of messed me up.
The
Yeah.
number feels different. 40, I thought, which was when I hit 40, I was having the most dramatic upheaval in my life,
Yeah.
and but the 40 didn't bother me. It was the riddle and the chaos of like what happened in my life. As I approach 50, my brother turns 50 this year, but as I approach 50, yeah, it's a little bit like there's no kidding yourself that you're just barely halfway.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't say 100. Like at 40, you can be like, I can get to 80.
Yeah.
You may not, but I can get to 80.
But
You get to
you
100.
can still like reasonably say to yourself, I probably have more ahead of me than I have
Yeah,
behind me. But yeah, at 50,
that's
you're
right.
like, oh, I'm over that mark.
Over that mark.
Yeah.
One piece for me that I've noticed is um, from between 40 and 50, I've largely not worked in a traditional office structure with bosses and stuff. The closer I get to 50, the more I guess after COVID, I'm more structured within an office and a team. Um, I'm finding it strange because I still think of myself as that mid to late 30s guy,
Yeah.
but I'm the almost 50 guy, and the young people around me don't see me as the just slightly out of their age range guys. And so, I mean, it's not that I see myself as younger or cooler. It's just, I guess maybe that's part of one of the interesting things of middle age is there is no, mile marker that says, hey, here's the areas where you should be very proud that you've grown, and here's the areas where you can still keep growing and sanctifying and all these types of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's yeah, I think that depends on the degree of upheaval in your life too. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit of a unicorn because I'm literally this month celebrating 25 years at Man in the Mirror, same job. Um, and I came into one office for the first 16 years and then another office for the next 9 years. But like I haven't, that's it. I've had two places that I've worked at for the last 25 years, and so that my life has felt actually, I think for a lot of guys, right, your vocation tends to sort of be one of those indicators about how stable your life is. And so because vocationally I've been so stable since I was 34. I know everybody that's watching this is like, what? That math doesn't work. Uh, but uh, but
No,
yeah,
they're
since
not.
I was 34, I've been going to the same place, working with, some of the people have come and gone, but doing the same mission, the same goal, and which is a little bit dangerous for a guy like, because I
Yeah, how
think,
do you stay fresh?
well, and
Like,
also if you set your identity in a lot of us set our identity in our work, in our employment, and so there's nothing that can ingrain your identity more in your employment than having the same employment for a really long time. And that the yeah, so you got that too. But yeah, the
well,
midlife thing. I
yeah.
think the other thing that hit me for the midlife thing was about 8 years into my marriage. Uh, they talk about that 7-year itch,
Mm-hmm.
and about 8 years into my marriage was probably like the seventh and eighth year were the most challenging for us. I was trying to be an entrepreneur and get a company off the ground and traveling all the time, and two young kids at home. We talked about this before, but like it makes like you've been married long enough that you begin to take your wife for granted. And then also if you're in any kind of a scenario where people are telling you that you're awesome, that you're great, then that just sort of adds on to it a little bit. And my poor wife was all on her own raising kids, and so that's exhausting. That's
Mm-hmm.
and homeschooling, so that's exhausting. And so there was a time there where it was a little. I can see where guys go through that conflict. Now, if you're going through that conflict, you're feeling you're sort of like, I've been in this relationship for 8 or 9 years. Almost nobody dates for 8 or 9 years. So I've been in this relationship for 8 or 9 years. Um, my wife doesn't look like she did when I married her. There's a lot of stress at work, but also stress at home. Like that's when, if you're a good guy or a bad guy, comes out,
It comes up. Yep.
and
Yep. And it
so,
doesn't have to come out like riotously all at once. It could be a little hairline cracks, that
right.
little, and yeah, it's the way of the fool versus the way of the man who fears the
Absolutely. And
Lord.
I
Yeah.
and I and I was, it was easy to flirt with foolishness, and especially when you're traveling, super easy to
Well,
flirt with
I
foolishness.
flirted and married it, so yeah,
Yeah,
that's um, and well, and I think one piece on my end was it's your identity from your work, and my faith was also mingled in,
yeah,
because like to be Mr. Dr. Ryan, whoever the heck I thought I was, meant I was very showy and deep and profound. I was a sage on
yeah.
the stage, whatever. And yeah, Richard Pratt, one of our did you take any Richard classes?
No,
No.
I went to
Well,
church with him, but
one
I
of his
didn't take any classes with him.
oh, okay. One of his old lines was, "If you make your living from your faith, you're going to lose one or the other."
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's one of its more famous ones. And I didn't lose my faith. It looked like I could have, and I might have been. But yeah, my upheaval was this kind of tumultuous thing. But what's interesting is once I got through that, because I thought, okay, this was the problem. What's been interesting is, I mean, that was almost 8 years ago, so it feels very long ago. But I feel like I'm only just now getting to the midlife, like
Yeah,
surreal feeling, if that makes sense.
yeah. I
Um,
think also like midlife is different for us than even it was for our parents. Like, do you remember the movie Cocoon? Did you ever see that movie
yes,
about old
yeah,
folks
yeah.
home?
They get, yeah,
I'm older than Wilford Brimley was in that movie.
diabetes.
But I don't feel like, I don't feel like I'm older than the guy living in a retirement home. And
Are we older? Are we older than the Golden Girls? Like, I think we
uh
probably are.
I think we are, at least Rue McClanahan was like 55 or 56 when she was in it.
Okay, I'm not there
So
yet. I'm not there. You are. No, I'll
I
leave you
am.
up
Yeah.
there. It's
Yeah.
fine.
So
It's
let me
fine.
ask you this question. Do you think that it's more dangerous for a man when his career hasn't lived up to his expectations, or when it's more than lived up to his expectations?
I My experience was the former. It did not live up to the expectations. Now, my expectations were astronomically stupid, kind of fantasy land.
Yeah.
In retrospect, I had achieved far more by the age of 30, 35 than I had any right to do. I mean, I wrote down a big, hairy, audacious list of goals when I was like 23. I
Yeah.
hit them. Like, I hit jackpot. So, but my expectation was something along the lines of, once I arrive at this place, and that place kept moving, but once I arrive here, I'll feel secure and established, and more at like an existential level.
Yeah.
Like, I'll feel safe. Maybe might be the word we would say now. But no job's going to provide that, and so there was no way I could look for it in my jobs. For me, yeah, my experience was, I don't know if I want to live like this for much longer, and I don't know if I want to be like these people.
Yeah.
That I was like. I didn't have any problem with my faculty colleagues. It was just I just something was off. That's the only word I could say it. And I didn't know quite how to say. I really worked really hard to do something that I might not want to do my whole life.
Yeah.
So I was white knuckling it, holding on. So that's my story. Is it didn't live up to my expectations, even though I thought I had achieved everything. But I also think that's a bit of my own fault. And then for the person who does, it is what they wanted. I almost feel like that the problem is the result of that. Like, you get what you want, so now you're wealthy, so now you become the rich kind of egotist
Yeah.
who is it's your wealth that matters, or your esteem, or your success. So it's like a knock-on effect of feeling your oats. If
Yeah.
you
Yeah. I think the other thing is like you accomplish the things. I mean, I think you have two things. One is you can accomplish the things that you wanted to accomplish and then realize that it's not fulfilling.
not
Like
fulfilling.
the proverbial, you climbed the ladder, but it was up against the wrong wall, right?
Perfect.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think the other thing is you can, especially when you're in the faith world, but even but really, if you're in a place in your life where people look up to you and you begin to believe your own press, you know what I mean? Like you believe
I
that
know what
you're
you
all
almost
that.
said there.
Yeah, you're all that, and you don't, and
Yeah.
you begin to go, instead of like, Lord, thank you for this, instead of living with a heart of gratitude, you're like, boy, Lord, you're blessed to have me. How
Yeah.
great is it for the kingdom that I'm so successful,
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think we've both seen guys like that are just like, dude, like you're you're great. You're talented, you're skilled, but you're empty, like you're shallow, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you're not your soul. It's like you let AI write the first draft of a letter for you. Like there's no soul there. There's no
Yeah.
depth.
Yeah. It's a good
There,
way of putting it.
you're just sort of like you've got all the vocabulary words down, and you laugh at all the right things, and you have just the right amount of sort of condescension. I don't know if I can spot those guys a mile away,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I was talking to Jeremy, our colleague at Man in the Mirror, about this, because been engaging with an older guy who's very accomplished in the world of AI for the project he's working on, and he's just like, what I'm really attracted to? I was like, and he said, this guy he has every right to say I'm one of the world's best experts in my field, and it literally has the pelts on the wall to say it.
yeah,
He said, but he's just like, no, hey, I'm so and so. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I have a passion for helping, and and Jeremy was just saying, like, the longer he lives, the more he realizes, yeah, you can smell a real humble guy,
right,
pretty easily.
right, yeah, that's good, that's good,
Well, and one of my problems, I'll take it just one step deeper, as I wasn't one of those swagger guys. I had it, like any man, you have it. Yeah, I wasn't sheepish. What was interesting for me is I had like a core of shame, as they say in the psychology world, meaning I was very self-deprecating, self-negative. Like, I could talk down to myself internally, inner monologue, very, very, very effectively. I was a blistering neo-Calvinist internally, at my own shame and sin. Like, but a lot of it was more, an imposter syndrome style
Oh, okay.
thing, where it was like, I don't belong here. This I didn't earn that. Like there was always these types of pieces going on. So what was interesting is I was looking like an egotist for my career to be the thing that made me, but because I had all this like negative inner talk, this kind of self-deprecating sense of humor,
Yeah.
I thought I was humble. I
Oh, that's
thought I
fascinating.
was humble. I was like, I make fun of myself. I let people call me Ryan. I dress down. I don't care about this crap. It was kind of my
Yeah.
whole vibe. And in many ways, that's true. I mean, I'm a Central Florida guy, so there's always this little bit of rebel in me, I suppose.
Yeah, but
But
don't you think the fact that like when you can describe the things that make you humble,
mhm.
like obviously you're not humble because you have humble people don't keep a list in their head of why they're humble,
Nope,
you know?
nope, they don't. Or behaviors that show the world how humble they are.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had those. Yep.
So guys in midlife, the you see these condescending guys, and then the other kind of guy that I see is the defeated guy. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and even that I think has two sides. Like one side is like the defeated guy who's obviously defeated and just has stopped trying or doesn't, doesn't believe. You can just
Yeah.
tell he doesn't believe in himself. But
Yeah.
the other
Sure.
one is like the defeated guy who is like manic, like trying to avoid admitting that he's not doing well,
Yep.
and that's the
Never
guy that
sits
I
down.
think all of these guys really, but that guy in particular has nobody to tell him it's going to be okay. Like nobody to come alongside him and say, dude, if you feel crappy right now, it's okay. You can just say, I feel crappy. If you're disappointed in your life right now, it's okay. You can say you're disappointed in your life. But if you don't have anybody beside you, especially in this world where men are supposed to be strong and secure and confident and not too confident because then you're toxic, uh, uh, but if you're supposed to be all these things and there's nobody there going, well, that's bold. You don't have to be those things at all. You can I mean if you're worshiping your own strength, then yes, you have to portray strength even when you don't feel strong. But if you're worshiping God, if you're like, I'm gonna be God's man, and if I'm miserable, I'm not gonna fake it, but I'm not gonna blame God either. I'm just gonna like take it to him and say like, here, this is yours. Like I really need to be filled with your joy and your peace and fill me up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Yeah. And the defeated guy. Yeah. I see that more and more. Um. I keep talking to my sons about this, but I said, what's the recipe for radicalism? Because they see it. Some of the everyone's a Nazi, everyone's a this, like all the chatter.
Yeah.
And I just say, I said there's some of that, and I said, boys, what's the recipe for a defeated man? I didn't use the word defeated, but I was talking about like a beat down, like
Yeah.
man that's prone to fascism and craziness. They're like, what? And I said, no purpose, no sense of being loved,
Right.
uh, and no just there's no target. It's just that their whole life is get up and survive to the evening.
Well, yeah, that's good. I mean, if you don't, this is how I'd say it. If you don't know who you are and you don't know what you're here for and you don't have any
Mm-hmm.
meaningful relationships, you're you're screwed. I mean, you then you are defeated. But even if you even if you can figure out like one of those three things, just start with one of them. Okay, I don't know who I am or what I'm here for, but I've got good friends. Then that's a building block. But I think guys, they need to think about in their midlife if they're feeling in a crisis mode, if they're feeling either defeated or anxious or whatever, is to like think about those three things. Who am I? What am I here for?
Mm.
And who are my meaningful relationships? And if you can't find those in your life now, I don't think you're going to be able to find them by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're going to have to start with the relationships and just find one, just find one person that'll walk with you. Maybe it's your pastor,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's
If not, the pastor should be able to help if you
yeah,
just
the
say I need
pastor
help.
should be able to help
Yeah.
you find someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just not meant to go through life alone, or we're meant to go through shoulder to shoulder with brothers, and then the rest of that stuff. Because I don't know how many times this happened to you, but I've had guys tell me things about myself that I was scared to believe, like good things about myself that I was scared to believe, you know, or couldn't see myself. I couldn't see them myself. Especially when it comes, for me anyway, especially when it comes to like purpose and skill set.
Same.
Like,
Yeah. I don't
that's where
know.
people are
Yeah.
like, Ryan, like you're a really good writer. And you're like, I don't know, it's so hard and I hate everything I write. And
That's literally what I feel like. Yeah.
yeah, but like I look at your writing and I'm like, this is so good. Like I love reading when I can hear somebody's voice in their writing. And even if I don't know them, like I can imagine what their voice is like. But like when I read what you write, because I know you, I can hear you talking, and it's like, I mean, it's magic, man. It's like so good to read your writing. I really appreciate it. I love work. That's why I love working with you on projects, because your writing is
Yeah.
so solid.
It's funny you say that because one of you talk about like you just triggered a midlife moment in this surreal sense because the first thing, let me think, how old was I? 16, maybe 17. The first thing I wanted to be was a writer.
Wow.
Uh, for some reason, my folks had gotten, it was around Christmas or whatever, they got this like typewriter thing where you
I
could,
was just gonna say, did they
it,
buy a typewriter?
but it wasn't, it was like an electric thing, a digital thing where you could type out a few sentences and it had just enough memory to store it so you could go back and then you would hit enter. Maybe it's a whole page, I don't know.
It's a word
And then
processor.
a whole,
The old-fashioned word
basically
processor. Yeah.
the old, well, I'm a little younger, so I didn't know what it was back then. Just kidding. But I remember doing that, and just through lots of like very simple reasons, I lost confidence. Right. I don't know if I forget exactly the reasons. It wasn't anything tragic. It was just more like I don't know if this is for me. And yeah, so for most of my life, I've been like I'm a terrible writer, and at each level of up the food chain, like from college to grad school up, I felt like I was getting blitzed. Just everyone telling me I'm bad at it.
Wow.
Yeah, it is a weird thing because like I've always wanted to be one, and I wrote a couple of books and just made just not a livable wage on royalties.
Yeah. Writers,
So,
there's a reason yeah, there's starving artists, but then there's just writers who are always starving. So yeah.
always starving. Yeah. So anyway, like yeah, but I think that's just it for me. Is like, uh, you know, uh, I did not set out to be a writer, but yet here I am. And that's just sort of one of those interesting, probably Joseph moments where you're like, ah, like this is part of what I do now for a living. And for me, just taking the midlife thing one step further. The other thing I'm noticing, this is where I would describe midlife as surreal. It's not sad. It's not tragic. Um, it's that when you get to about 50, everything around you reminds you of your age. Like I had to get glasses. In my case, I had an astigmatism. I just didn't wear them. Now I need them. Now I get the squinty eye thing. I have shoes that are specifically so my feet don't like just get killed by the end of the day. Little like my folks are getting a little older, and we're constantly keeping up with their medical history. My kids are getting older, so you have both sides like happening at once. So
Yeah, the
I'm
Oreo
seeing two
generation.
pull.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, and literally, it's dumb stuff. Like you see an old sitcom that I watched in high school, and I go, "Holy crap, that was a long time ago." Those actors are so old now. Like
Or
it's
or you see a sitcom and you don't realize how old it is, and then somebody says, "Hey, they're celebrating their 25th anniversary," and you're like,
yeah. Or you
"What?"
quote Seinfeld, and somebody's and Josh, the new guy, has never heard of
Oh
Seinfeld.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
yeah. No, or it's just tons. It's little reminders, and they speed up. They speed up. Um, and so what I'm finding on the positive end is I am, I think maybe finally might be the word. I am finally no longer trying to rush to the next rung
Yeah.
because I think like I am like there's a couple of things in my life right now I'd love to rush real fast and just like enjoy it, like move on, like next stage of my life. Um, but I'm actually smelling every rose a little more, like enjoying the process, like uh my like things like my kids enjoying every practice and every drop off because in a little bit that won't be happening.
Yeah.
So
Well, let me tell you what comes next because
yeah.
as I've gotten older,
Does it involve a finger?
no,
Okay.
well, yeah, that comes next too. Uh, no, the when you get past sort of like the midlife thing and you're on the, you're on maybe on the downslope a little bit. Here's what I've noticed. The number of people whose opinion I value has decreased greatly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not that I don't care what people think. It's just that I really don't care what people think. I'm secure enough in who I am because I've been around enough times. I've got kids in their late 20s, early 30s. Um, I've done enough stuff and screwed enough stuff up and lived through it to know that it's going to be okay. But I've also listened to enough bad advice or cared
Mm.
enough about the wrong people's opinions that I'm like, oh, I just don't care anymore. So like, it's really interesting. Um, and it's really interesting to me. And here's the funny thing about that. I think that's really attractive to younger guys when you don't really care what anybody thinks. Like, and I'm not saying like be a jerk or,
No, no.
it's not that. It's just that it's not that you don't care what anybody thinks. It's just you realize that there's a smaller and smaller group of people whose opinion actually matters. And everybody else outside that group, they've got their own stuff, their own agendas, their own, and just don't have to give into it. And so I would say of all the things about getting older that I love, that's the thing I love the most. Is that I'm realizing the importance of only caring about what the right people think of you and not caring about what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, it's interesting. To put it in my own words, I've been joking. I'm in my Ecclesiastes era. You know, vanity, vanities. It was funny as a young man. I read Ecclesiastes and I thought he was depressed, and in some ways he has a little bit of that like nostalgia, wistfulness in him. But now I get it. It's like, no, he is saying exactly what you just said,
Yeah,
which is I've seen it all.
absolutely. Everybody that's listening to this, you need to be old to read Ecclesiastes and not and like
Yeah,
understand it and not be
yeah,
bummed out by it. Like I
yeah,
read
yeah.
Ecclesiastes now and it's a relief, not a, but when I was younger, I like just like you said, I'd read it and I'd be like, everything's vanity, nothing means anything. It's like, oh, now I get what he's trying to say,
Yeah.
Now I get what
The
he's trying
stuff
to
we
say.
focus on, the stuff we thought was so
Yeah,
important. Yeah.
perspective. That's what it gives you. It gives you perspective.